Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our very first Cook the Books live. So, thank you for joining us live today. For those of you that are new here, I'm Mark, and Cook the Books is a series where each month I pick a cookbook, we make a whole bunch of recipes, and then I write about that journey with you and take you through like a guided tour of the cookbook. This month's book is Kitchen Table, by the way, Simple Things Made Well by Emily Cuddiford, who's with us today. And I'm over the moon that you've joined me here for my first one. So welcome and thanks so much for being here, Emily.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, although slightly terrifying having someone cook their way through your book, watching from the
I
side.
imagine.
Um,
It's been really good, though. It's been really good. Before we get started, if you do have any questions for Emily or myself, please do drop them in the chat and we'll do our best to work them into the flow of things. And if you're watching this back later on the recording, then still feel free to send your questions through. And I'm sure Emily be more than happy to answer any that you've got.
mhm.
Now, Emily, let me gas you up a little bit before we get started into the questions. So you are a recipe developer, you are a phenomenal baker, a writer, a busy mum to a toddler. You co-founded and grew the award-winning and highly acclaimed bakery 12 Triangles. You're a published author, and I think it's also safe to give you the title Queen of Sourdough as well.
Ah, no, that
I
that
know,
that
a bit
feels a bit
cringe,
much.
but it's bloody impressive. Well done.
Thank you. That's a lot of very nice things in quick succession.
But you've built that over the past decade. It's been about what 11, 12 years since you forayed into baking.
Yeah, so the 31st of March will be 12 Triangles' 11th birthday, and then we'd kind of started about 3 or 4 months before that. So I was just
Mm.
baking every day in the shed, which was our bakery, trying to get things right before we opened the shop.
It has been a phenomenal journey, but before we get into the thick of it, let's go back before a decade ago. And you actually came from an arts background before you went into baking. And that really interests me. I'm shifting from a recruitment background into the food world. So, yeah, super interested in what you were doing before. What prompted that career change and how you sort of navigated it?
So I've always really loved baking and food. There's lots of photographs of me when I'm teeny tiny running around with a whisk. And I think one of the biggest arguments me and my sister ever had was over who was icing the Christmas cake.
Yeah.
So that's kind of well woven through my life. I had a slightly unusual start to life. I wasn't very well when I was younger, so I left school when I was 13. And then when I kind of started coming back to life, it was going, okay, what do I want to do? And I'd always loved art, and I'd always loved cooking, and I kind of continued to do both whilst I wasn't very well.
Yeah.
So I did an art foundation year in Edinburgh, which I absolutely loved. But whilst I was on that foundation year, I baked every day.
Okay.
And I baked every day, and I took it in to everyone else on my course. And after a few months, they started a little, I suppose, kind of charity box or donations box. So as I could use the money to buy ingredients. So it kind of became
That's pretty
this
cool.
unsaid thing that whilst doing art, I got this space to start playing with food and kind of have a reason to get better at something. And also, really importantly, because possibly if you bake at home quite a lot, somewhere to put it all.
Yeah.
Because doing recipe development, you end up with huge piles of food everywhere. So having an outlet for that was fantastic. So I kind of was at a bit of a crossroads and was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll do one for fun and one for my job.
Yeah.
I foolishly thought perhaps going into art might be an easier job.
Mm.
No, that
Turns
was
out no.
that was an awful idea. Also, kind of that amount of self reflection, I don't think is necessarily particularly healthy or wasn't great for me. Um, So when I finished my arts degree, I decided to go back to cooking. I'd kind of continued it along the way and had kind of part-time jobs and bits and pieces making cakes and salads and stuff for delis as I went. And then just as I finished up, there was a bakery in Edinburgh called Love Crumbs that was advertising for a baker. And I'd been in that place before and they knew me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dream job. So I phoned them when I still lived in Brighton and was like, oh, are you still looking? And they basically just agreed to hire me off that. And I just packed up my
Wow,
bags and moved back. And that was a year and a half before we opened 12 Triangles.
that's amazing, isn't it? And that's where you met Rachel.
Yeah, that's where I met Rachel. So she used to run that kitchen and then she passed it off to me. And then we started 12 Triangles from there.
That's amazing. Have you always had that spark for food, or was that the aha moment? Like, oh wow, actually, yeah, maybe arts, not so much food. Yes, we'll go in that direction.
I think it was probably a little bit more stable than that. I think it had kind of started happening whilst I was at university, and I think it was trying to find the right way to get into food.
Mm.
Some people know this. I was on MasterChef when I was 18. I
Wow.
did
Okay.
I did really badly. Like I was
Okay.
awful. The one thing I did good at though was making a cake. So when I did that, I was like, I can't deal with service kitchens. The stress
Yeah.
is not me. So I had this kind of issue where I loved food and I'd applied for a few chef's jobs and got them. And kind of when it came to it, I was like, I just can't live like this. Um, when I started working with Rachel and went back to that job in Loves Crumbs, that was the first time that I ever got into a bakery environment. And I hadn't necessarily thought that much about that before. And when I landed in the bakery, I was like, somebody pays me to do this. Like this is
Playing
insane.
around with flour.
Yeah, like I just get to get up in the morning. I mean, fair enough, it's quite early, but just go and I'm in this big shed and I've got music on and I just have a list of stuff I need to make and I can make it at the pace I want. And whenever I'm
Yeah.
finished, I just get to go home. And I was like, this is all I do. This is fantastic. Um, so then I was like, this has to be it. And it's just, yeah, it kind of showed me a different way to be involved with food than I'd previously known existed.
Yeah. And it didn't necessarily start off like you knew exactly what you're doing straight away, building the bakery as well. So you write about it in the book that when you first
Mhm.
started doing sourdough, you did that a 2-day course with Andrew Whiteley, was it?
Yeah,
And that's where you caught the bug for sourdough. But
yeah.
was it like a solid frisbee they started out like when you first
Oh,
started?
yeah, it was awful. The bread we made when we first opened, like I'm so grateful to the customers that kept coming, and we do have customers that have been with us since day one. But I also, at this point, questioned why. The bread we made at the beginning was not very good. Not out of lack of trying. We hadn't learned. We didn't understand as much yet. I used to use a really high proportion of a very wet starter, so it was very, very
Mm.
acidic. It was really strong bread. It was really waxy. We had one white loaf and one dark loaf. I used to make 4 of each a day, and they did not sell out. So it was kind of a very long time of persevering. And what we make now, I don't think you would really recognize from what we started with.
No. And it was an onboarding process as well with the people of Edinburgh. And you've mentioned previously that
Yeah.
things take a little bit of a time to carry on from like London back up north. And yeah,
Yeah.
sourdough wasn't one they took on quick.
No, so when we first started, which as I said is kind of nearly 11 years ago now, there was only one other bakery in Edinburgh that produced sourdough, and that was a kind of once a week. They made 5 loaves or something. You'd have to go on a Saturday to get it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that people were particularly familiar with. I think in London it was a bit bigger, and kind of E5 and places like that were already set up, but it's nowhere near the baking culture that we have now. I mean, there's bakeries on every doorstep, which is fantastic because people are going back to a more traditional craft and it's building all these communities, which is fantastic. It's really great. But that was not the case when we began, which I think is the only reason why we got away with making such bad bread.
Yeah. But and the standard now is 2 of a level, which is quite
Mhm.
phenomenal, isn't it? I went last July to Edinburgh. As you
Yeah,
say, there was a bakery on every street, on every corner, and
yeah.
looking through the window, everything looks stunning.
Oh no, it's fantastic, and I'm so proud of it. And what's really lovely is actually quite a lot of those bakers have been through our doors. So
Mm,
off the top of my head, there's at least 6 bakeries in Edinburgh which are run by people that have trained or have worked through us. So it's so wonderful that, and we've had so many people with different kind of heritages and different ideas. They come, they learn for a while, and then they go off and they start their own thing and they build their own little pockets around the city.
yeah,
So it's a beautiful thing to see grow.
it is cool. And you've become this like little hub of training to then send off your big little baby bakers and spread the baking word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get into the book.
Hmm.
First of all, actually, I just wanted to say the photography by Laura, she's done a phenomenal job with this book. And not only do you get a nice, pretty picture of what the finished product should be after you followed the recipe, you also have in here step photos as well, which is so useful,
Yeah.
especially things like dough when you're looking at how to shape it and what consistency it should be.
Mhm.
Was that an active choice that you wanted to go into with the book, that you wanted the recipes to be set out a certain way and that you wanted to have these stepped photos in there?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion and collaboration kind of when you get to the photo shoot. The publisher kind of has an idea of what they want the hero shots to be.
Mm,
Um, but we wanted everything to be kind of as instructional as possible, kind of not just
yeah,
a perfect finished picture, because we wanted it to be more accessible to people. So me and Laura, and then Joss was our food stylist. We had a lot of conversations when we started of going, okay, so this is my need, this is your need. So Laura would be like, right, we need this lighting, these are all the backgrounds. Joss is like, right, I want it to
yeah,
look like this. And I'm like, okay, what I need the person to understand is that the texture of the dough looks like this. So actually, Laura, what is really important for you to capture at this point, yes, I want it to be beautiful, but I need them to be able to see the dimples or the stretching or
yes,
whatever. So, in a way, it's really helpful that it's people that aren't bakers, because I can stand there and go, okay, this is what I need people to see and understand from this picture. Do you guys get that?
yes, yeah,
That's a good way to kind of check back. So, we had that with kind of all the shots that there are of everything. I think even one of my favorite ones is the millionaire shortbread one at the end where we're breaking it,
yeah,
which didn't really go to plan. I was hoping it was going to be more snappy. The caramel's not quite as dark as I would take it. So that's what I mean by things aren't perfect. But you kind of get a sense of that like chewy
mm,
carameliness, and also kind of it was the end of the book. And it was the very last shot we took at the end of the photo shoot. So there was no chance to redo it. Um, but it was just this kind of playful, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
yeah,
matter what it looks like, just have fun.
yeah.
And kind of, so yeah, the photography and the styling is a way to kind of, I suppose, help try and get your message across slightly further than just your writing.
Yeah, I think that's important. Well, an important message for food in general is that we can build it up to be something so stressful, and you can stress yourself out going for a recipe. But at the end of the day, you should just have fun with it as well.
Yeah. Oh no, very much so.
The recipes themselves actually echo that sort of style of photography as well, because you do have some that are one, two, three, follow this, super simple, and off you go, and you'll produce this beautiful looking item. But you do have some recipes in there that could be a little intense, maybe 3 or 4 pages long, which I personally really love. And I think what you've done there is, as you've wrote the recipe, you've almost anticipated the questions that the reader is going to have down the line going
Mhm.
through the recipe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you've answered those questions. So there's that element of doubt has been taken out of it.
Yeah,
Can you
it's
tell me
kind
about
of,
that process?
yeah. So we wanted, and I think we talk about it in the book, where it's kind of, we want to be a friend in your kitchen. It's kind of, we're
Mm,
here to set you up for success. There's no point producing something that looks beautiful, but you can only make under certain circumstances or with X amount of training. And there's loads of books that have beautiful recipes, but even as a baker myself, I find myself with questions along the way. Oh, does that look quite right? It looks like it's split a little bit. What happens if it has split? Do I just throw it away now? Have I ruined it? Is it okay to keep going? And then because I've spent so long training people in the bakery and kind of developing recipes that need to be able to work on scale, and I need kind of 16, 18 people to all be able to make this recipe the same, I've become really used to describing how things are and trying to think, okay, I can't be in the bakery 24 hours a day. So how can I make sure that I've answered every question there's going to be? So when I look at recipe development or I think about things, I try and see it from every possible angle and kind of go, okay, well, if this does go wrong, that's fine, keep going. Whereas if you've done this, that's maybe a little bit harder. So it's just trying to give people confidence along the way.
Yeah, and you definitely have done that as well. The very first recipe, your house loaf, I think was the first one I tried as well. And when it got to the shaping portion of it, it looked more like a blobfish than what it looked like in the photo. But you carry on through the recipe, and yeah, it still turned out to be a beautiful loaf. So yeah, I really appreciated that. So thank you.
Good, you're very welcome.
The recipes themselves, actually. So can you walk us through the process of, did you and Rachel sit down and say, these are the ones that I wanted to include? Or, did you go away? Did you brainstorm? How did that come about?
So it happened quite naturally. So we decided to base the book off our suppliers. And that's kind of the heart of a lot of what we do is what we make, where it comes from, the people who have made the ingredients. And then that also gave us the flexibility to be able to do sweet and savoury.
Yeah.
So when it came to separating things down, so I've done all of the dough based recipes because I specialize more in that in the bakery, whereas Rachel does kind of more cooking and stuff at home, so she's great at like the mayonnaises and the salads and beef pies, so it's kind of quite a lot of the split works that way. But it was all very natural, and we kind of spoke about it a lot as we were going and was like, oh, okay, I was thinking about doing this, does that work with this? And we had recipes that we took out quite a lot. Initially it was 100 recipes, and we contacted the publisher and we were like, we're kind of on like page like 360, but we've still got like a whole bit to go, is that okay? They were like, yeah, it's fine, just keep going. So the entire manuscript was massive, and we had to ditch one whole chunk of the book that was about feasting and menus and how to put dinners together and like all of this, so that just got scrapped completely. And then we also still had to take about 20 recipes out. And interestingly, the ones that we ended up losing were quite a lot of the ones that we make in 12 triangles. We had like a recipe for our almond croissants, not to make the croissants themselves, because the people that do that at home, I take my hat off to you, but I have no desire to do that. It was just go and buy a croissant. Here's how you make the frangipan, the syrup. So as you can still get that kind of experience at home without having to go through the pain of lamination. So we lost kind of things a bit more like that. But I think that helped the book overall. I think we'd had a kind of assumption at the beginning that because we had 12 triangles, people would expect it to be a 12 triangles baking book, which a lot of bakeries have that, and that's not a bad thing. But just for us, that wasn't the point of it, or it wasn't what we wanted to get across. So we'd had those kind of in our initial pitch. But as we were writing, it felt quite natural to kind of take them out.
Yeah. I think it's such a nice starting point to work from as having your suppliers and your providers as the nucleus to build on these recipes and the chapters in the book. How easy was it going back to the beginning of the bakery to build those relationships with those suppliers and producers?
They have all been built over the years in quite a lovely organic fashion. One of the benefits of the business getting bigger, which I think is probably unusual and not what people would expect, is it means we've put more money into ingredients, not less. So as we've got bigger, we've had better buying power. And one of the really great things that it means we've been able to do is, so for example, with olive oil, we work with a company called Honest Toil, who I absolutely love. And they're over in Greece. So at the start of their harvest, we just guarantee buy an entire pallet for them. So it
Wow,
means
that's
they
really good.
get a huge chunk of money at once, which they can put back into their business. They know that that's guaranteed, and we normally take around 2 pallets per year. Um, so it means they can give it to us at a slightly better price. That means we
Yeah.
exclusively use that oil. So that's what's in everything we bake: cakes, salads, focaccias, the whole lot is all using the same grade. And then so we've managed to build kind of independent relationships like that with lots of people. So instead of buying from one wholesaler, we probably buy 90% of our ingredients from the individual farmer or producer that makes
Yeah.
it.
Really cool. And it's building on that element of community as well, not just
Yes.
as in everyone that's coming into the bakery, but
Um,
with those producers.
Yeah. Oh no, massively. Like for us, especially for me, that's a huge joy in what we're doing, is getting to meet those people and hear about it. And it also means, as a business, I think well, personally, I have a responsibility to make sure that the money that people gives us, that goes somewhere good.
Mm,
So if I know who I'm buying everything from, I know how they treat their staff, how they're treating the land. It means that when somebody buys something with us, hopefully, yes, they're getting something delicious, but it's also all your money is going back into a great system that supports an economy that you want to be part of. It's not kind of disappearing into pockets that don't pay tax, or you have no idea who's
exactly.
going to. So that's again kind of something that we've taken quite seriously.
Yeah. Do you think it would be easy for home bakers to connect with producers to sort of source their materials and ingredients that way? Or
So this
is
is
that sort
this
of like
is
the block?
yeah, it's really interesting because actually, since I've started writing on Substack and kind of developing more and more for home bakers and kind of trying to look at recipes for that, not just focusing on bigger things, I have come up against more conundrums. It's obviously not as
Mm,
easy if you don't have a bakery at your fingertips to
yeah.
take ingredients from. And also the cost of everything is generally horrific.
Yeah.
Um, so there are some people. So for example, Honest Toil, you can buy, and you can find local dairies. Like where I live in the countryside, there's a farm along the road that's got a milk vending machine. So if you
Oh, that's
kind of
pretty cool.
yeah, so if you look around you and kind of spend a bit of time in your community, there will be some bits available. But you will, sadly, you just don't get the same privileges you do if you're running a business. And you
No.
kind of, if you can't take the same volume, like there are certain flour suppliers that I can't get a sack for at home because you have to take an entire pallet's worth. I could
Yeah.
potentially go to a shop who have, and then I can buy some sacks, but you can't have that kind of same direct connection, which is understandable because they don't have the manpower. That's a different type of business. But
Yeah.
again, if you can find local delis or local bakeries, then you can still find access to these ingredients. You just need to find the kind of independent middleman.
Yeah. It's there's steps and means, isn't there, to try and find those or source them
Mhm.
that's away from a supermarket or
Yeah.
from a,
But
that you're putting back in.
it's still a privilege to be able to do that. And I'm
Mm,
very aware, and I generally try now when I'm writing recipes to be like, if you bought your flour from the supermarket, I'll put a note in that says, okay, it's likely to need less water. You'll need to mix it for a bit longer, like to
yeah.
give you kind of show you the changes that will likely occur with different ingredients.
Mm. I suppose that is probably the nice way of like the oil that you sourced.
Mhm,
If that's the only oil you're using, you've got that consistency throughout your
mhm.
ingredients so that you know that there's going to be an element of or no surprises rather than
Yeah,
using a different oil and how that reacts with the flour and
yeah. One of the biggest things, and we talk about it in the chocolate chapter, is if you work with a chocolate that doesn't contain any lecithins. So lecithins are emulsifiers.
Mm,
So the main one is soy. And then you can also get sunflower lecithin. So that helps your chocolate kind of be fluid and it stays really
okay.
like shiny and more liquid. If you start working with a chocolate that doesn't have lecithins in, it feels horrible because it stays so much stiffer, and you permanently feel like you're on the edge of separating it, and it
Yeah.
fills me with anxiety. We made the switch in the bakery a few years ago, and it was kind of, I was like, nothing feels right. So that's one I'm always like, if you ever switch, if you manage to find a chocolate that doesn't contain lecithins, it's obviously great and you're getting a purer
Yeah.
ingredient, but it will feel very different and uncomfortable whilst you get used to that switch. And don't panic, it's not you.
Yeah. Take it each step at a time.
Yeah.
Um, Going back a little bit to using the ingredients then,
Mhm.
you do write in the book about how like bread should just be so simple as just flour, water, and salt.
Mhm.
And that you can tell from the recipes as well that you've kept all the recipes to their core ingredients as much as you
Mhm.
can. It seems to be a big talk at the moment, doesn't it? Of everything that the supermarkets are pumping into. You go and pick up a loaf of bread, and as great as the convenience is, there might be 16 ingredients in it
Mhm.
versus flour, water, and salt. Like, do you think that's going to become more prevalent as more people are taking on baking at home, or?
Yeah, so it's also, I mean, in the baking world, it's becoming even more interesting or dynamic conversation recently because they've added fortification into all flour that isn't 100% wholemeal that comes from larger mills. So the only way that you are buying flour that doesn't have synthetic ingredients added or bread is if you are shopping from somewhere that uses really small mills. So
Okay.
now, even when you go to a lot of bakeries and buy our some bread, and I don't mean this as like a slight on bakeries, most of the bread at 12 Triangles has this in now. Is it now contains this? So
Okay.
even when you're just going flour, water, salt, the government has now stipulated that folic acid, niacin, all these other things are now being added in. You can avoid and you can ask, but it's just
Yeah.
adding an extra nuance into the conversation.
Just
Um,
flour, water, and salt, and this little bit of extra
yeah,
something.
and I think that's again one of the difficult things, and why it's really important if you have the opportunity to kind of have that relationship with your local bakery or your local producers. Is kind of, I've seen a lot of the conversation around farming recently. Is okay, you might be buying good quality meat, but what are they feeding their animals? Like
Yeah.
everything ticks back. It's not as simple as just that one thing that you're buying. It's how is that animal being reared? How does it enter the system? Um, so it's kind of, I think people are becoming more and more aware of how much extra stuff is entering into our diet, and how far
Yeah.
back we need to go to trace it.
Yeah. And not, as you say, not just plant-based, but when it comes to farming
No.
animals,
Yeah.
is it ethical as well? Is every step ethical?
Yeah.
And it does seem really nice actually that we slowly are moving forward, that more and more people are caring about it.
Yeah.
The conversation's there, isn't it?
No, it is. It's really good. And I think uh, I really care about the farming community. I grew up in the countryside and around farms, and they have an exceptionally difficult time. And I think it's being very careful that the conversation isn't moved putting all the blame on them.
Yeah.
Like I went out to visit a grower in Miller to pick up my flour, and he's kind of 40 miles away from me. And I was talking to him about organic versus non-organic farming. And the government, like the UK government, recommends and tells farmers to spray glyphosate on their crops to kill them before they harvest, because it dries out the wheat, they get better yields. Um, so it's kind of their advice from the government is do this, spray chemicals on. So it's only if you're
Yeah.
buying organic that you actually get away from that. So there's so many things that the government has put in place that's kind of entrenched within farming that then has to get taken back out again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I think if more
Mm.
people are kind of aware of what's happening and offering support and understanding to the people that are kind of producing the food for our country, that will help us.
Yeah. I think there's no negative for people becoming more aware and having that conversation and
Mhm.
getting back to farms being the nuclear of where we source our
Mhm.
food from,
Yeah.
whether it is a supermarket or wherever. It's
Mhm.
it's important, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it is. It's a huge part of kind of security is where your food comes from, how far it's traveling. We just seem to have got very far away from it somehow.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's a topic you could spend hours and hours and hours talking
I was
about.
about to say, I'm sorry, I've like rambled off on a kind of
No,
funny
no,
direction, which probably wasn't your intention.
no. It's good. It's all good conversation. As we say, it's good to have the
Mhm.
conversation, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's, I think, if you're cooking from a cookbook as well, chances are that you care about where your ingredients come from and are interested in that conversation anyway.
Mhm.
So maybe we can have a part two where we go into the
Yeah.
farming side of things.
Well, I mean, like, partly how I can, I suppose, tie it back into the cookbook for you is we talk about ingredients and we know that they're more expensive, but part of what we try and do through the cookbook is teach you how to make sure that there's no wastage or how to get the best out of these ingredients.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the bread chapter, it's kind of making frangipans with leftover breadcrumbs as opposed to needing to
Yes.
buy nuts that we don't grow in this country or are very expensive. Using leftover whey from making ricotta to brine your chicken, you can use it in doughs. It's kind of it's trying to think of working in your kitchen as a more kind of circular living economy where you're like, okay, what do I actually have? Let's not go out and buy 30 ingredients and then throw this bit away. Let's be like, okay, can I use this instead of that? So again, it's kind of going, well, yes, we might be asking you to spend a bit more money in the first place, but actually, if you buy that, these are all the things that come from it.
Yes. You can make this loaf and then that goes into this and the crumbs go into that. And yeah.
Yeah.
The honey tart, that was particularly nice with the sourdough crumb.
Yeah. It's got a beautiful
Stressful to
texture.
make, but
Oh no! Why was it stressful to make?
only because I've got PTSD from making caramel, and I was just like, oh, it's a little
Um,
bit heat on the hob, you know.
yeah. If it makes you feel any better, before I started in the bakery, I could not make caramel or custard. Like it was something I
Still can't.
routinely messed up. No, but now they're like my biggest loves. Once I cracked them, now
Really?
I like actively enjoy doing it and spend time and pleasure at the hob doing those things. It's just once you get over
Okay,
that,
so there's hope there. There's hope there
there
then.
is so much hope because honestly,
Okay.
I messed up like on MasterChef. I messed up the custard. There's like a recording of me not doing well, which has
Okay.
given me PTSD and flashbacks. But you can get over it. It's
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I won't be
You can
YouTubing
learn
that
to
when we
love it.
finish the call.
You can't find it. People have tried. I'm
Oh
safe. It's
no.
the only
Okay.
reason why I talk about it is I know no one can find it.
Wasn't aired. um, amazing. Before we get off the book,
Hmm.
actually, no, two questions.
Yeah.
One, was there a recipe that didn't make the cut that you thought, oh, I wish it did?
So I suppose the main one that didn't make it, which I do kind of have a good love for, is there was a recipe for macaroni pies.
Oh,
This
nice.
doesn't necessarily sound like something that you need a recipe for. I made them in the bakery, oh, years ago now, and we used to like wholesale them to a pub, and they were these like massive things, probably like the size of your head. And it was like a cream cheese flaky pastry that was made with cream cheese and double
Nice.
cream and egg yolks and was all fat and all flavor. Um, and then this like super cheesy macaroni filling. And then like it's such an indulgence, but they are just wonderful and speak to that very Scottish part of me. So
I was
I'm
going
a
to
little
say it
bit
sounds
sad
quite
now.
opulent. So that's one you may include on your Substack at some point.
Possibly, although I'm not sure that
Mm,
anyone needs it, but
I
it
do.
is just a joyful thing.
If anyone's watching and you'd like that recipe, please put it in the comments and we can convince Emily
Well, I mean, I
to
have it
share
all
it.
written, like it was at the stage of being done. I've got it. I've got it as a Word file, so anyone can
You
send
might
their
as
email,
well.
send it out. It's
Might as
fine.
well.
Mhm.
And lastly on the book, what would you like home bakers to take away from it?
Um, just try. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of the simplest thing. Like I can't make it perfectly. Nobody can. It's
Mm,
okay. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be joyful. Um,
yeah.
so that's
Rustic.
yeah, that's the main thing. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I think in the age of social media and Instagram, everyone is so they're more worried about what it looks like than what it tastes like. And
It's
that
so true, isn't it?
it's a trap that we all fall into. I fell into it last week spectacularly and got my knickers in a twist. But it's just yeah. If there is anything to take away, please just do it.
Yeah. I think if you're not creating, well, even if you are creating content, we do it as well, don't we? You think, oh, well, I've got to make that in the morning, so I've got the best light at one
Right. Yeah.
o'clock, So I can't bake this afternoon because then it'd be
Mhm.
rubbish late. And then
Yeah.
you sap the joy out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, your olive oil chocolate cookies, I'm making my 5th batch this afternoon, and they've gone down so well with the neighbours, and they're
Yeah.
just amazing.
They're
So,
great. You can also really easily turn them vegan. You just take the egg out and add in enough oat milk to make it the same consistency, and then they're
okay,
vegan. We make those in the bakery, and they're really great.
yeah,
So that's
they've
a
got a nice consistency to them and texture.
yeah. It was very funny on the book shoot, was trying to explain to Laura, the photographer, because she took this beautiful photo of them all stacked. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, no, we need to see the inside. It's about the inside. So she officially thinks I'm crazy, but that's fine. I can live
And
with
that is
that.
a nice shot, actually. You've got the chocolate melting, dripping apart as you pull it
We
away,
spent
and
a really long time on that shot.
gotta be done, hasn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, so I can't let you go. I've got a couple more questions, but I
That's
can't let
totally
you
fine.
go, Queen of Sourdough,
Oh.
without we we have previously had this conversation, haven't we?
Mhm.
Where I've got yeast with a spoon, my sourdough sat on my kitchen worktop that I've been feeding every day since last August, and I've still not done anything with her. And it's confidence, and it's just that taking
Mhm.
that leap, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
it's so stupid, I know.
Mhm.
But if you've got a tip for anyone that's in or wanting to go into sourdough, what could you
Mhm.
give us?
2,
Yeah,
leave it a lot longer than you think you need to. Bake it in a tin.
in a tin. Okay.
Yeah, it's so much easier because then you don't need to worry so much about getting tension and how your folds are. And there's all these things which are good to
Mhm.
learn and will help you understand and help you build structure. And if you want that nice honeycomb, but if you just want good bread at home to eat,
Yeah,
mix it, leave it for ages, bake it in a tin. Like
perfect.
you'll get bread every time. It's
Okay,
fine. There's
I'm
like
going to
so many
endeavour to
levels
do
of
it.
there's loads of levels of nuance and things that you can add in, but I think just remembering like most things like that contain flour and a bit of yeast you can make bread out of. Like you can
Mm.
put 1% sourdough into something and it will make bread. It's just going to take like 24 to 48 hours. So it's
Yeah,
just yeah, there's increments of things. You can do your mixing really specially. You can change your hydration. You can work with stone ground flour. Like there's so much you can learn, but fundamentally, if you've not got started and you're terrified,
yes.
just mix it together, leave it for ages, bake it in a tin.
I'm so glad you said that, because not that sourdough bakers gatekeep
Mhm,
anything. There's so much information out there, but I
mhm.
think sometimes that that can cripple you a little bit. That you're like, where do I start? And no one tells you,
It's
mix it, stick it in
terrifying.
a tin.
Yeah, like I have lots of sourdough books behind me. It's my job, and I don't mean this in a disparaging thing about anybody's books. I do love them, but I also find them incredibly boring and intimidating. Where I'm
Yeah,
just like, oh, no, I've not mixed that level, and it's not ready, or it's not at this time. My house isn't 22 degrees. I can't do this.
yeah,
And I just most of it just makes me be like, no, can't do it, and you feel like you're
yeah,
going to fail before you've even begun. Um, that's why what I make or what I make at home and what I talk about on Substack it is not trying to make picture perfect bread with excellent oven spring and perfect interior crumbs. That's all
yeah,
you see. Um, it's how to make bread to feed you that tastes nice. And actually, don't be scared about the fact you've missed it. There's things that you can do, there's ways that you can mix your starter that give you a much bigger window of time.
yeah.
So the starter that I work with is what's called a stiff starter. So for every 100 grams of flour, it's 60 grams of water. So
Okay.
this means it moves more slowly. So the less liquid there is, the slower it goes. The more
Yeah,
liquid, the faster, because it's all to do with the amount of food that the sourdough is eating. The sourdough eats the flour is the food. So if there's
yeah,
more food, less water, takes it longer to eat it. Um, so that just gives you something that's a bit more consistent to use. And that was one of the really big shifts we made in the bakery that made a big difference is when we moved from using 100% hydration starter, so equal amounts of food and water, to using a 60%. And you get much
okay.
softer flavour and you get a longer time to ferment. So it's not like there's 10 minutes where the whole lot's going to fall apart. So there's adjustments that you can make to be more flexible. And I think if you're teaching people, it's kind of almost more important to teach them about that. It's not, here's a recipe, like bakers work in what's called baker's percentages. It's very simple. Like flour is always 100%, your salt, like salt is generally always 2%. So there's kind of rules that you stick to. So making a recipe isn't hard. Learning how bread works and how flours work and how they change and how they alter things, that's the craft of it. So I think having a recipe book for bread isn't necessarily the most important thing. You get loads of calculators that do that for you. It's kind of trying to give people the understanding of why something is happening, so as they're not scared, and then they can make the adjustment for their environment.
Yeah. And yeah, especially when you're coming at it from the point of view of, I'm not baking this loaf of bread to take a photo of it to put it on Instagram. I'm baking it to feed myself and my family.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, before we let you go, Emily, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really interested in what is next. What's on your books?
What's on my books? Well, I am going back into my son's school next week to teach a bunch of 5-year-olds how to make bread and butter,
Fun.
which is slightly terrifying, but I want to spend more time kind of passing knowledge on and helping demystify how food is made. And I think a big part of that comes with children, and that there's a huge opportunity being missed that will make a difference as they grow up. And it's kind of, so that for me is a project that I'm working on that I care about, although I'm terrified of that many small humans.
It sounds phenomenal, though.
There's a reason I only have one at home, but we will see how we get on. So that's something that I'm working away on, and I think a lot of what I'm focusing on is teaching, whether it's through Substack, recipe development. I've got a collection of bakers and different people who I'm talking to right now, which I absolutely love. And there's someone in Australia and there's someone in the UK. Like there's people all over the place, and it's kind of having conversations about how things work, or I'm developing this, or this is happening. I'm just trying to kind of like widen that network and share knowledge, and then also work out what's useful knowledge for people at home, and how can we get more people making food and feeling a little bit less nervous. Like I don't want to be gatekeeping any secrets. So I kind of, I'm spending quite a lot of time writing and then trying to find a way to translate that.
Sounds like you've been doing that for the past decade as well.
Different peaks and troughs.
Yeah. It all sounds really exciting. And if by going by Substack, if that's what's to come, that's just even more exciting. So keep at it.
Hopefully that's the plan. Yeah.
Okay, I've got some notes here just so I don't forget how to close down a live.
That's totally fine.
But first of all, thank you so much for joining us, especially for the first one.
I know.
I'm super grateful. Thank you. And thanks for everyone watching, and whoever's going to watch as well. If you're watching it back on the recording, that's going to be in the full Cook the Books post later this week, which again is for the kitchen table. We've got about 7 recipes that I've made over the past couple of weeks, which have been so fun to make. And we're just in talks as well of giving some recipes for you guys to make as well. If you're not already subscribed to Emily on Substack, please go and do that now, and on Instagram as well. If you've got the book as well, we'd love to know if you've made any recipes from it, or if there's any that you are going to make. And yeah, I'm off to make that other 5th batch of cookies now. It's like crack to the neighbours, but
good. It's always good to keep the neighbours on side. Mine have been drowning in pie recently.
Yes, well, they do look very nice. I'd love to be one of your neighbours. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Emily. And
Very well.
I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Have a great
Bye.
day. Bye.
Bye-bye.